even, and where we had Border earlier on was a little bit of an upset in some regards. Wild pulled it out, so maybe some people's results will be an upset, but this is maybe our most even game of the evening.
Well, it's match of the day, isn't it? So you would hope so. Obviously, Border. I'm actually surprised because I always know those two have been, you know, people who stand by their stats and their facts and their figures.
They do love those things.
BDS have never played this map, and they have banned it in every map veto since becoming a team bar one. So it's not a map that they're interested in going to. They always ban it as well. So I don't know what the map preference is in terms of, you know, the small sample size we have of BDS, but surely the map preference for Border isn't very high for BDS.
Well, when did we have an example of a team that didn't really like to play Border, or didn't have it very common, if at all, play Border earlier this evening?
Yeah, and they lost.
And they lost. So, maybe Demo, you will be the savant amongst the sullied. I couldn't think of a nice word that began with S to talk about how everyone else was wrong. So instead, success. I'm running out of words. It's 30 degrees still. It's ludicrous that it is that warm at what is getting to 9 p.m.
Actually bucketing it down where I am right now, like the rain is tramps in the ground at the moment.
I would pay good money to be outside in the rain. And they'll pay good money for a prox alarm. Now, we talked about the power of Brava a bit and how strong they could be in the current sort of drive of the meta. Look at all of that delicious utility that is up on the right-hand side. It's just free real estate for P4.
Yeah. Free bulletproofs are just insane, isn't it? Even just for VP to bring that in, but they just want to have as much info as they can, and certainly the Brava's going to be great at hacking all that. In goes the Blackbeard jumping in through Sandwich, but cannot make the full engagement onto that player as he's worried about the players doing the corridor. They're also engaging P4 at the moment, but the Blackbeard missed out on his opportunity as that player is retreated back down the back route. Patch, and now look at this from Dan, actually trying to engage the Blackbeard from below, but he's getting shots on him.
Robbie took a lot of damage there. Now I have a lot of questions of what's going on, but maybe that's just the magic of Border, the wild, wacky world that is as Joystick gets Lasmo and gets rid of the Nomad. Okay. The second to breathe now as they have some control of East, and the one body they've taken was the Smoke, which is a peculiar person in both Shepherd and an Operator to be stood so far forward, but it's not going to slow their roll too much, it seems like. They do have a bit of a limitation on a way now to stop a defuse from a bit of range. Sure, you can put some pressure in from underneath, but outside of that, if they try and tuck that shield in and get a plant and they've got some cover, you have to just swing to stop it. And that is something that is going to work on the side of BDS's favor now as they creep their way in, do a little bit more damage. Now, Robbie isn't a million miles away from death, and if the shield goes, that is their big advantage with, I think, a bulletproof there on towards the left, and they are just... oh, not exactly hunting Dan, leaving him down below and going, well, we know he's there, so let's just maybe try and take the flat fight.
The issue is it's losing the Brava, so all that info that we mentioned before will just stay up. The VPs are going to be very valuable in these latter few seconds for VP to play around their retake. I think they'll be happy enough to allow BDS to plant if they want to. They'll try and play off the retake, and a great swing there from always supporting his teammate. Virtue goes down, Passion with another. It's all down to the Blackbeard. No hope at all. Passion with a DMR. Lying in wait. VP, good solid hold on that first defense. BDS, they tried to hit it with some pretty quick pacing at the start, but whenever they didn't get their kills, they just faltered away.
Yeah, it's sort of that, you know, there was an obvious idea that fell to bits, right? And you're sort of piecing together where it happened. The Blackbeard and the Brava slunk their way across, hopped themselves in towards office, and the fight right down long. But you know it's going to be a fortified position. They hadn't, as far as we'd seen, done any work to clear CC or put any pressure on towards break, so it was kind of just running into a gauntlet and hoping for a nice result, which has gone the way that it has.
BDS, their common Beam will probably try and be, disable the util. You're bringing in the Brava. It was a strong operator to remove the utility. Just a shame that she got picked off as one of the first few. Now you look at the lineup. We're seeing the Flores be brought in. So again, does a similar job though off the Brava. It doesn't. You don't take the information away. You just destroy it flat out. That's kind of what the Flores will bring to the table. But still sticking with that shield as well. However, it's a different person playing a shield, which is also another point I may add. Robbie's being demoted off the shield, and he's on the Ashe now. And so the last mouse, here to go, ready to rock and roll.
I mean, let's see if they can try and survive a bit longer. Now they have everything that could potentially just harness a quick play here. Roll the sense wall in, and we saw that suffer from a similar team that hadn't played a lot of this map before, so maybe not. It's a time of teething and testing. They're being tested. Vertus Pro, with the fact that both G2 and Secret have found some success, and with Falcon still to play later on, if they want to keep themselves toe-to-toe with the top of the table, this has to be, as I said it before, the bar of a game in hand. But, well, you expect a bit more fight here from the side of BDS. There is some pressure coming in. A late throw, F0 is immediately shot. It was a bold move, but P4 is always the one who suffers. High Blackbeard by player, but traded out. Dan gets the cover. It's back and forth though as Freck makes sure that there is a blow for a blow for a blow. Now you lose the Ashe in this engagement, but you've removed the Legion and the Fenrir. And that is kind of what Ashe's role is. Great bit of coordination there from the side of BDS to be in a position to trade that out, as Freck finds always a 4 versus 2, and Shepard sat watching, maybe waiting for at least the cover on this engagement. But think about the site demo. If they realize that maybe they could just slip their way in the window and plant, opportunity might start screaming towards them.
Yeah, see that both players in VP very loose in terms of where they actually positioned. I wouldn't say they're in a position to try and support one another. One is located over towards that hard wall, and the other one is in towards Easton. Now they have doubled up, and they are together trying to play this crossfire. Shepard, though, has that soft wall, and Freck will read into that. And they know exactly where the last player is, who gets picked off. Really good job from BDS. Good pinch at the start, using the Blackbeard alongside the Scent. Gives them that little bit of a cover to take that one-on-one engagement, and Blackbeard is always going to win that all day of the week. And then just an easy collapse from them. They have that man advantage, and they just pick the VP off one at a time. So this Blackbeard, really doing work for them. Potential operator that you can maybe see banned inside of round 4 for VP, because it is causing them some issues. But again, still another round before we get into our next banning phase.
It's one of those sort of moments there where, you know, as I said, they could have the opportunity to plant. Then we see that they're just playing the waiting game. They didn't want to do that. They had them in the 4-2, and they didn't throw it away. BDS, they made sure that their pace was exactly metered towards the hold that Virtus Pro had, which was the focus on the stairs. Shepard made a move. Freck knew about it. And just a great information gathered game here. Blackbeard still on the board, and yeah, unless something horrifying happens, it's gone. To be honest, even if they didn't play it, with the 2 bans Vertus Pro have already put forward, might have been banned anyway. Here though, the only one not changed as we get gridlock for some roam control. Robbie on the ramp instead. Similar gun, similar idea in some regards, but can get some of that work done much looser and easier.
Still plenty of traps up from VP. Oh, Pasha! My words, went for the spawn peek, and he's been able to pick off Robbie, who is that ram you would love to have for this bomb site, because of course it is a top-down take that you would expect BDS to go for, so certainly the verticality would be nice to have, but now they're going to have to try and do it without. However, very swift trade, though, as always, has been picked up.
Yeah, I think that's sort of, you know, Pasha is obviously a player who had such an insane day the other day, and it didn't quite amount to anything. They are somebody who just keeps stepping up, and throughout their history in Tier 1 EU Siege, they've just always been a joy to watch across the other rosters. This is a map that plays well to Pasha as well. This is a map that they can step into, can explore the space all around, and as you see, Robbie 0-3 just keeps being caught out by it. Freck takes some shrapnel and a pretty loose exchange, but with the slowed approach here, you can imagine that Dan's not going to stick around too much longer. As they'll try and probably bounce a grenade over the top, get this wall open, and then go from there. There's the grenade, but it missed the mark. The C4 also does, but it does actually get rid of the Selma that was placed.
And see the grenade will go in to remove that mute jammer, so the wall will be opened up. And plenty of time for BDS to make this work, but just do worry though, with losing out that ram, you don't have that vertical pressure that you would like to apply now onto the players who have since fallen back into the safety of the bomb site. C4 in hand as well for Pasha. Might go fishing and see what you can find. I think for BDS, it's about getting, you know, the util in the correct position, and you're mostly looking at Virtue here. You know, where is Virtue in all this? That's the player that you need to watch. He's actually all the way over towards passport control, so he needs to try and get in and get ready with that util that, of course, will assist these BDS players as they try and march in the bomb site.
Well, there's a bit of an opening, and there's a closing. Dan locks out Lasmo, and just make sure that the statement of the site is one that they can't be so matter-of-fact about. Seafault gets caught out, and now the fight on a player that doesn't really need to give the game away. You're going to have to go deep and swing for it, and there is a bit of potential cover that comes through. The lead-in is taken by P4. There's not an immediate reaction, but 20 seconds here, Demo, and they're still scared about somebody else moving in to fill in the blanks. And well, P4 is the player that needs to try and get the kit down. Virtue is just watching from afar. So at this point, they're just going to hope that it's tucked here close and nobody moves in. No, go for the kill instead. Pre-fires the angle. Pre-fires nothing, but there's somebody rotating around the back. Do they know about Pasha? No, they don't even need to.
Why is B4 just reloaded in the middle of the site with 5 seconds to go? By the way, he could have pre-fired that guy on the server rack. He just literally an inch to his right, you would have seen him. Oh dear, oh dear. I wonder if we get a highlight on it, because I don't know why he hasn't just killed the guy. He knew he was there, but then he just panicked and thought, oh, I have to plant, and then he just... I don't know.
You can't
I don't know,
plant
Jeff.
with an
I don't know.
You're watching the game, weren't you? You saw them go off.
I've seen that there, you know, there was 10 players, but I don't know.
Changing mags.
Yeah, you can't plant with
I've seen them go off, but I thought Shaika was coming on. I thought Shaika was coming on for BDS, but he's not here.
You can't plant. You can't plant with an empty magazine. I mean, questions to be raised, and I think the only thing we can all probably agree on was that there was some confusion going on at that moment in time. 2-1 though, and Virtus.pro mopped up the confusion, and BDS, you know, they had some inroads, then they had things shut on their faces. To get as close as they did was still, I guess, a compliment to them, but a cause for concern maybe for Virtus.pro. There was good rotation from Pasha around the back. Didn't do it immediately when the player was caught out on the security side, and then, well, made their way afterwards. The third shield is... Yeah. Oh, losing the ram to the run-out peak. Third shield gone. Who is surprised? Nobody, screamed the masses.
Yeah, triple shield ban. No fuse is taking the fancy of BDS here. Obviously VP, and looking at their lineup, we see a Tachanka come in. Now, typically you would expect like the smoke as your kind of operator of choice to go alongside your Goyo if you are trying to play for a denial defense. But if you want to go with the Tachanka, then sure, you go for it. But and the only issue is just whenever you're using the gadget, then you don't have a gun up. That's like the main thing I would have. Honestly, I don't know who I was talking to. Maybe he was doing something with, was it Tim or something I was speaking to? If you made it so it was like a wrist launcher where he could still have his gun up and still use the gadget, I think that would make him so much easier to use, but just a little bit clunky because of course you have to get the full grenade launcher out to use it. Again, Ubisoft, if you're listening, I'm more than happy to make this happen. You know.
Just imagining it with a sort of Mandalorian-esque wrist mount.
Will work for food.
Wow. Please don't follow that through. We all, the rest of us won't. Ready for the spray. And there's the trade back on. Threaded the Violent Needle on towards the eastern stairs, and doesn't sit around much longer as it gets taken over and overwhelmed in some manner. Now remember, we sort of talked about this before where they went for a quick play, things went away from them, and then they struggled to come up with a plan B. Here it seems like they're strong-arming as a group, a lot more direct on towards it. They're not entirely sending up the fight. They have the track on a loose player on the far side, and this is one of the few places we have a lot of heavy brickwork and cement to keep you safe. So at least put the fear in whoever wanted to go for the loop background that, well, maybe don't do that. The 4 versus 4 with a minute on and a bit of fire still ticking away. Now they're putting pressure on towards CC and break. Let's try and root out that player before that player just rotates their own way home.
And this information from the VPs, though, they're still up. And I don't think Twitch has any drones left, so it's not going to be an easy way of getting rid of them. And Dan opens up with, yet again, another kill, playing very well on that Goyo at the moment. And Robbie doesn't really know what engagement he wants to go for, but maybe he doesn't get to decide as Shepard comes to him instead, and Robbie hits the deck. 0-4 is where he sits, and now a 2v4 for Plasma and P4 to try and clutch up against, and don't exactly, again, similar to Robbie, they just don't know what they want to swing. They don't know who they want to engage, and Shepard just overextends himself just a tad there, but again, look at the timer, 10 seconds left. Plasma all by himself, has the pistol out, knows the guy over towards Brazil's there, but Pasha has a good cutoff. VP, yet again, another good round where they could just sit in their hands, hold these angles, and close it out.
It's just not obviously really going into that sort of way or the favor here
Let's
of
take a
BDS.
breather and remember what we said.
Why.
Focus your paper, plan A, plan B, okay? I'm gonna give you some time to breathe, calm down, read your paper, okay? Remember what we said.
Just chill the comms, guys. Get a clear plan together. We focus one thing. That's all we need to do. And if you want to do something else, just communicate it. If we're just doing something different shit, I have no clue what's going on. Second round in a row. Focus one thing. Let's go. We got this.
All right, all good?
Yep.
Everything read what he had to read?
Let's just have one voice, guys. If there's one voice that's saying something, let's follow.
So, I love that we get these listen-ins. Brilliant. We have no idea what they're reading. Maybe just uplifting, uplifting memes.
It's for good reason. Because if we don't know what they're reading, then the enemy team doesn't know either.
Else knows what they're reading.
Yeah. Also, nice little bit of cold mental as well coming in from that timeout.
Yeah.
You know, take a moment to breathe. Palms obviously flustered, so just chill. I think that's the main thing to get across from that. But just take it easy. You know, maybe they're putting too much stress on themselves.
I think it's a very fair comment, and I think you could sort of see it there from the sort of follow-ons that you got from Virgil. I think it was Frack saying, you know, we just need to focus on something. We need to get less wide with our approach, clear up the comms, one voice, and go from there, because you get that feeling, right? There was always that sort of unknown in their approaches. They weren't really hitting things as a team and as a unit, which you need to kind of do against a team like Vertus Pro that is so well run and well rehearsed. You'll get opportunities, but only because you've earned them against Virtus Pro.
Yeah, they're a difficult team to break down, and whenever you've got some really strong standout players this stage, you know, Abdulzo always has been playing really well. Asha has been playing insane. Dan is just always going to be there. You know, I think Dan, probably top 5 European players that we've had ever. I think he's on my all-time top 5.
Yeah.
Just talking about EU, not internationally, but certainly in EU, top 5 players we've ever had, and he's always going to be a consistent force. Really, since he broke out onto the scene, and he's still doing it, he's always going to be a menace for any team that goes up against him. So, yeah, you're against a very strong team for BDS, and just don't let the nerves get to you. You know, they're still human. We can see them. We can still see them lose. You know, we've seen teams take them the distance. We've seen VP look a little bit shaky sometimes. Certainly last week against Matchco, that was an upset from all metrics.
I think, you know, upsets can always happen. You can always build on it, and there's the first.
Get ready for the breach.
Maybe a team a bit more direct. Lasmo is able to get himself in. He was promoted to the Shield. Now he's been promoted to Deimos. It's sort of like, yeah, Robbie, give us your other operator as well. As Lesmie's able to get that first lock in, the reveal a location. We'll just get a reveal a utility, but a minute 20. And a trade comes back in. Virtue gone, and Always also sort of gone. Slips their way. Now it's a very vertical hold here. The BDS are trying to match, but a traded engagement. And there goes Candelas.
One common theme with VP, and what they've brought in every lineup so far, is the castle and the traps. That is what they have centered around. They're using the castle to waste that time, give themselves that protection, and then just play into the trap meta. You know, that's what they're going for. Give themselves as many advantages in these gunfights as they can.
Now with a bit of focus here on towards top east, and only 40 seconds. At what point? Oh, seems like they knew something, and there goes Shepard, and there is the track of the Deimos. Lasmu still alive, just reading and threading this information. They know roughly where they are and what they're watching, and they have an idea, but they still need to go for the plant, and Always needs to operate in that space. So for the compliments we've paid and the things that they need to work on, this is the main one from BDS of making sure that they have cover and communication. But no, operated on one, an engagement for a second. It was going so well until it just fell.
Oh, VP. By the skin of their teeth, just get over the line somehow, some way. BDS, that'll be a stinging round to lose. It really will be. Essentially, Always has banked on an all-in play there, right? He literally has a 50-50 the way he plays this. One, he positions himself so he plays for the hatch drop, or two, he positions himself for the player jumping in the window coming in from east. Yeah, that's the way it works. If Fred had dropped the hatch, Always was not in a position to engage that. Yeah, that we know that. He just banked it an all in, and it's worked. He positioned himself for them going east. He's just predicted where he's going to go. He's won the 50-50. That's as simple as that. Tough for BDS, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
4-1 now at this point, and Virtus.pro, they're locking themselves down on these defenses. The timeout's been used by BDS, and if it was their chance to breathe, unfortunately they've returned straight towards the fire and are currently reaching around in the dark. They need to get this one to give themselves that confidence more than anything, that when they get to the other side, otherwise Virtus.pro just have to lock down 2 attacks on a tertiary site on border, which isn't impossible to ask. It's an awkward sort of place, but it's the same thing we're about to ask BDS, so let's see if things can get threaded towards it. Oh, they're onto a site where the kit ended up in a bit of confusion. I think it's fair to label the last time we were here, Demo.
Yeah.
Will we get clarity instead?
Reloading ammo. BDS, it looks as though they're going to go for a horizontal take rather than the vertical take, what they did last time. They still have the opportunity to go vertical if they want to, because they still have a vertical operator in the form of the sledge, but just based on them opening up jail, trying to look in towards customs, which they had no intention of going for previously. They didn't even touch that room at all the last time they were here. So maybe they're up, for a different approach, a different idea. But still, probing upstairs though, you're still droning upstairs. You can see the setup from VP clear as day. So it looks a little bit more scattered from BDS. They're just trying to see if they can set up these strong crossfires, and they've done so. Plasmout, using the demo, spots the man that they want. They set up their angles for it. Easy pick.
Well, hopped in, but the pressure was hot all around, and they still somehow find 2. Hello. Unbelievable swing around there from Pasha, and I mean, the man on Sandwich is just left watching in fear of the fight and doesn't even want to take it at this point because they got to go and replace the already dead. But Pasha's gone.
Shots I've ever seen. With the Cybertruck as well, by the way. Look at the sight he was using. Oh my, yeah, it's really good work from Pasha, just individual brilliance again, and this was the worry you always have for anyone going up against VP, is you've got players in this stage who are playing extremely well, and there you go, Pasha, just has more or less mudded BDS in terms of what they wanted to go for. You're losing the two information operators, Lion and Deimos, a very strong counter, you know, or not a counter, a strong combination together. Taking that off the board, yeah, massive for Pasha. And now BDS are just left with a bit of Vert, some flashbangs and nades, and that is it. But they don't have any map control because they've lost those bodies now. They didn't get the kills that they wanted by going above.
Well, with 20 seconds left and 7 players still standing, it's all up to the aggression to play for, and P4 gets gifted down, but they still need to get into the site, and they're not that close to it. And P4 goes down alone. Somebody else suffers outside as well. It's just Pasha with the lockdown here. Freck's fighting a fight on vertical, but he can't even get to the kit, let alone the site, let alone the plant. And yeah, he gets a kill on the end of it, but I think he knew how that story was going to go. Virtus Pro demo. You said that they were in a good position for this. I'm assuming you haven't changed your tune.
No, just VP's VP. You know, I just think the way that they're playing the stage, but that was only the defense. This is the side where I would be more worried about. We've always said that VP have been a very one-dimensional team where they have this set style that seems to be kind of from the Stone Ages of Siege. But what I see in this stage, with the additions of playing faster through the meta, bringing in shield operators as well, which they never really had, it has made them so much more terrifying as a team in this current meta. So that was always the worry, that you kind of look at VP and think, if they've added that to their attacking side now, what are teams going to do? Because they're always good in defense. It was the attacks that let them down.
It's sort of that risky moment right now here where all they have to do is play the game ahead of them. And I talked about it in the previous game, right? Where G2 got themselves into that sort of 4-2 position. If a round goes away and you're on the back foot that deep into it, it is horrifying. They don't even have the benefit of a timeout at this point, BDS.
Yeah.
So they need to try and get an opening sort of flawless rotation of 3, because Virtus Pro are a team that learns, they're a team that improves, and they're a team that usually, when they're hitting a site for the second time, can find success if the first has failed. And, you know, just staying to death now. The multi and capped out have been removed. Specific play against specific play.
Your very existence.
I don't think Virtus Pro are too worried, really, about what BDS are trying to shake.
Here we go, VP. First attack. You see the Blackbeard has been locked in, and this is what I mean. This is a very, I want to say like kind of Brazilian-esque lineup, because this is like something you see in Brazil with, you know, that kind of yellow outline of bringing in, you know, Lion, the Grim, the Blackbeards there, all of these fast-paced operators who are just devastating if you combo them all at the same time. You know, VP can play that style now, and BDS have to try and go up against it. BDS bringing in, you know, again, traps. You've got the Legion there, which will help out, of course, against the Blackbeard, but you just have to make sure that the Legion's in the correct place to go against that operator. See already, actually, an early smoke canister is being used by Robbie out over towards Catwalk.
This saw a ghost. And you just still trying to warn Pasha off, you know? Preemptive. You don't understand. Ooh, that one. On towards the window as a grenade. Almost got the catch. The Deimos there as well. Buys himself at least time to stop a swing on towards it. But, you know, if you're worried about the first one being used, there's the second demo. As Robbie is just trying to stop, I guess, a utility dump from coming. And there's the third. They are dedicated to trying to hold off on the back of this initial Virtus Pro push. Now you look at what Virtus Pro have used. That is all the E1Ds. That is a chunk of the other utility, but yeah, we'll get back to it. The B's gone. At this point, there's been a big sort of exchange of utility, and we might have a big exchange. There's the drone reveal. There's the head of Virtue. The drone had the full read on that engagement.
They both know where each other were. It's just a case of swing or be swung. And yeah, that's why you should always swing, by the way.
Always swing.
Yeah, Pasha gets that one up on him. And very surgical in terms of how VP are playing this at the moment. They're taking their time. They're making sure the utility is done correctly. P4 is in an off position, though. If he gets droned out, he's a dead man. But if he doesn't, he could be on to play spoiler here at the VP party. Always, though, has transitioned over in towards CC and is now pressing towards Armory. That's a different change of pace.
Yeah, I guess seeing if they could try and get the alternate push here, but in the meantime, things have sort of gone away. Robbie finds Joystick and Freck finds the outside on a Dan whilst being tracked by the Deimos. I think they sort of went, look, I know I'm about to be in an engagement, so I'm going to try and take it first. And now suddenly, within a split of a second and a split of a rotate, it's pressure on the opposite side, dropped the hatch and slipped away, and with the goo mine in foot, what are you really doing here? Pasture is desperate for this engagement, and 2 players there, and I mean, it's a post plant, and there's one, there's a second, no way! Slips away with the pistol, gets the rotate, but they're on the counter to fuse. Lasmu pulls off, but it's pistols at dawn right now, Demo. 1 bullet goes for the reload, and they've now got full mags, full clips, full swing, swing or be swung, or pre-fire for Lasmu! Threaded the needle, but that was almost an unbelievable clutch for Virtus Pro.
Oh, it's almost a Shepard moment, wasn't it?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the Deimos. The Deimos was just good the whole time. He couldn't maneuver. He was really struggling. And that's where the trap's really, really strong. Just at those late stages. Legion, great operator, I think, at the moment in the meta, just for slowing the pace down. Whenever you're dealing with a meta where there are players who will just make these kind of little pocket plays where they see a gap, Legion is the perfect counter to that. And it helped a lot there, just to try and stave them off. Still use the nade, though. The nade actually bought time for Shepard to go for the plant, but it was almost a kerfuffle. You know, this right here. Oh, almost for Shepard.
Tough break, but BDS, they live on, and to be fair, they live on because of not just how it ended, obviously, but the work that was done earlier on. They lost that opening engagement. Vertus Pro took time to try and rotate, and BDS did what you need to do against a team like Virtus Pro, which is not let them set up. Disturb them in the approach, throw yourself out the building. In some cases, Freck find bodies on the back end of it, and well, bodies were found, and from then they were able to develop themselves into a second round. But we've obviously had a 7-1 tonight. We've had a 7-2. Still a lot of work left to be done here to stop Virtus Pro giving us another strong sort of 7 result. Quick break.
Oh, fast.
Bashing their way across, rolling it on, and Always has found a fight, but no, he's missed it. I saw him drop the pistol. I thought he knew the man was there. Joystick gets 1. There's a trade out and another missed moment. Robbie with 3. Holding office. And as the pop-up Pirate is slammed down by Shepard, you still have, I mean, Robbie with not a lot of health, and as I said, you step in, don't let them get comfortable. I hope those pellets connect. 1 on East. You can see BDS, they want to play on contact as soon as the fight starts. Either the East player is going to pop up and trade out for Robbie, or vice versa. But the drone work is missed. Robbie, no, surely not. No. But it's a 2 versus 1. A lot of time for Dan to work with, but Demo, a lot of health.
No, he just doesn't have the HP, I don't think, to engage this. 1 bullet will finish him off. And yeah, it should just be an easy 2v1 for BDS. We've got plenty of time still, but very unlikely at the moment. As long as they do not give him these 1v1s, that is the main worry. But VP, they just tried to go really quick. I mean, the Blitz just straight in, had no idea, no information where they were. It's picked off because of that. Just couldn't get the trades. Oh, I was going to say he misdroned him, but ends up shooting the drone and does give his position away.
Kid is outside, as seen there, but I think his focus here is on kills, because either way, they're just going to close down on you as soon as you start to do anything, either side. Now, we're also getting an idea of what they know, but we don't know where the Valk cams are. We don't know what they still have eyes on him. Not that they need it. You could see they just got sick of waiting around and swung it. That's 2. As I said, they want 3. Well, they want eventually more than that, but...
He went 0-6, by the way, Robbie, in the attacking department. And now he's got 5 kills already after 2 rounds in the defense. So he's flipped the switch, and he's now stepping up. And again, is that maybe a reason why they're struggling the attack? I mean, if somebody goes 0-6 on an attacking half, and you come out of it 5-1 down, I don't want to say you want to point the finger, but you have an idea, maybe the direction of where it could go.
Yeah, well, it's also the roles that obviously Robbie started on. Was on the Blackbeard, didn't quite worked out. Swapped to Lasmu, who then I think got a double kill. Was then on the Deimos, which is in the right hands, one of the most powerful operators in the game. Couldn't get it to work there, and sometimes it just doesn't stick. Sometimes the landing just doesn't quite translate, and well, that's sort of one of those moments. You are now getting closer and closer, the 5-1 to a 5-3. If it was the other way around, you'd be 2-0 up. It's always that mental to sort of get yourself locked in here, and BDS can just play the game ahead of them. Virtus.pro do still have a timeout. I'm wondering if they'll use it when they get to a 5-4, if they do, or if they think they can just sort of push this one on.
Still think, though, VP just get the 1 round and put in 6, especially if they take this round. It is going to sap the soul out of BDS quite a bit, so I think for BDS, you just need to keep pushing. Like, you almost just need to try and sweep and almost go for the 7-5. I know it may sound crazy to say, but that's kind of where they have to be, because VP, I just think they need that 1 round, it puts them on 6, and then BDS know they can't make a mistake. And against a side like VP, where if you make that 1 mistake, they will punish you very heavily. Yeah, it's just that added bit of pressure. So yeah, BDS, they just need to keep it going now and keep this momentum rolling.
It's entirely what I talked about earlier, right? Where if you're on 5-1 on border, you just need the tertiary. You just need this awkward site, because what it's probably going to be, Vent Workshop, you're not always going to find much pressure elsewhere, and it's an awkward one to hold on to. There's a lot of cross angles, and it's just not as really ran or locked in. Freck is under pressure from a Deimos. They're going to try and deal with him first, and well, he's not going to sit around and see what happens next. Knew the track, knew the pressure, knew that he had a lot of heavy reinforcements here, so all he's done is that precious resource of time and its removal from the approach. Now always making sure he doesn't get caught out, just going to go for the cutout of the rotate background, force these BDS players to do exactly this, pull back, but they missed the catch. Virtus.pro, that's a rough one to not get locked in.
Yeah, nice attempt, but the execution just halting at the last hurdle. But still, I mean, he's not in a great position. He's kind of trapped them back from at the moment. He kind of feels as though I can't really cross back. I know they're in towards waiting, but P4 able to actually give him a little bit of just covering fire almost to take the pressure off him. It does allow him to get back in. Shepherd, though, goes down. The ace is off the board. Valkyrie rips the C4, almost catching out the Blackbeard, but backpedals away just in time. And again for VP, not looking too hot in this opening, and only 30 seconds left, and they've really gotten very little for all of their trouble that they went through.
Well, with Pasha finding that body and taking almost all the damage themselves, they again are in this sort of thin margin against SMGs. Always isn't, though. The Blackbeard swings on, Dan swings on Freck, Joystick locks out Robbie. Suddenly, the switch has turned this round into a bloodbath, and Virtus.pro potentially into map point. P4, well, as he's in a post plant, okay, as he's barely in a post plant, he's not for the world much longer. 6 rounds.
Yeah.
3 opportunities.
Kind of mentioned how there's 30 seconds left and they haven't got any kills, and all of a sudden, within 20 seconds, they've just clean swept the whole BDS lineup.
Yep.
Wow. Just VP does VP things. You know, they're terrifying on their day, and yeah, they're playing very well right now. You mentioned the timeout. I don't think you call it if you're VP right now. You just keep it going. No need
not
to.
At all.
You know, you've almost got the... You know, you've almost got half the job done already, haven't you? So from a coaching perspective, you think, look, they've done well in the defense. I don't have to do much here. You know, they've done the hard work. Just close it out. I
think that's the sort of thing as well. Obviously, if you take the time out, they get the same benefit of a conversation, and you just don't want to give them that, because ultimately you assume that they would say, look, you took 2 rounds, you can do that again, you've already proved it, and you did it very, very well on the hold, and then you just need to get to the header. And Vertus Pro know the game ahead of them, and they want to make sure that BDS are not getting that chance to sort of set each other straight. 6-3, 3 opportunities. Maybe I'll put it into a cursed fruition. We had a 7-1, we've had a 7-2. You think we'll see a 7-3?
Possible. I think you mentioned before VP are a team that can adapt very well. You know, if they've made mistakes in the past, they'll be able to see what they've done wrong and then rectify that. I wouldn't say BDS have played. I don't think BDS have played bad today. I just think VP have just played a heck of a lot better. You know, VP, I think individuals have really shone through for them. Big moments from multiple players, which I think is the unfortunate thing for BDS. I think Frack has been trying to put in a shift. You know, Robbie had a big moment with 3K, but there was just more people from VP stepping up. You know, it's just a better game from them overall, but and not bad from BDS.
Well, they have a bit of a reveal and a read, but Robbie doesn't want to go for it because he thinks he'll just get gutted as soon as he's around the corner, and yeah, fair enough. And sure, it can keep pinging the players, but he's safe-ish. Blackbeard might be about to change his impression of what safe is. The smoke goes out, the joystick takes a decent amount of damage. It's this game of utility trade. And that first smoke won't be matched by any Bs as of yet, but another E1D nets at least something, you hope, for the side of Virtus Pro's utilization of it. But it isn't a kill, and a minute's gone. The second smoke, again, on towards that window. He's hit by a grenade.
What was ADS's?
Yeah, all those ADSs. And also the player always. Oh, caught Robbie in an off position now. He's been moved and shuttled around, but he thought he was safe. And hit the smoke, but not the man. That gives them a player with still some utility to work with here, Demo.
Yeah, good from VP though. You know, realizing, okay, that's a pretty fortified position, plenty of ADSs for that smoke. We'll see if we can get the nade threaded through to destroy the ADSs. They're not going to respawn if they're gone. And then, yeah, picks them off as he tries to fall back into the safety of office. But, oh, I like this though. From Lasmau, has to try and get a little bit active because he knows that his team isn't in a great position. However, Joystick still able to maintain this lead in VP's favor.
Well, Lasmo gets Joystick as well, and that's East Stairs. Retaken. You can see Joystick was worried about the pressure coming back round. So the Blackbeard has to rotate themselves, as does Pasha. The pair of them to try and step in. Slight angle working in Pasha's favor. There are 3 versus 2 here. Virtue and Lasmo. All that's left to try and hold on. Nope, just Virtue. Highly experienced player, but he has not had a lock-in here, and a Blackbeard is about to make friends with him. There's the knife in the first, there's the follow-through. And Vertus Pro prove you right, Demo, and themselves still a top contender.